Hi, Girl Scouts. It's so great to see everybody. So I'm just going to see if there's a couple more people that are coming in. Well, look like we might be good for now. So I just want to introduce myself, and I'm Katie Herstein, and I'm the Program and Events Manager at Girl Scouts of Colorado. And I get to be pretty lucky that I'm the one who gets to introduce all these inspiring women in our guests at Aspiring Futures, so that they can tell you about their professions, and hopefully you'll get inspired to see what your future could look like. So, and we have a really great partner that is helping us with this series, and it's called College Invest. So College Invest, they're a Colorado college savings program. So basically they make it easy for you to save some money after you leave high school to go on to your further educational pathway. So it's kind of a fancy way of saying that they exist for one reason only, and that's to help you and your families put away money so that you can get to your inspired future. So, and I actually started a College Invest savings plan when we moved to Colorado 10 years ago. And now I have a daughter who is graduating high school this year and off to college, and pretty glad that we put some money away so now we can help pay for her college. So it's College Invest. It's the savings plan is kind of like a piggy bank where you put money in, and caregivers and grandparents, parents can put money into that, and it grows tax-free. So when it comes time to use that for educational expenses past high school, your money is actually gone further because it's not taxed. So you can go to college across the country. You could do trade school or apprenticeships, which give you real world work experience. So College Invest is a pretty neat thing, and we thank them for sponsoring Inspiring Futures. So, and I have a little video to show you before we get started, and it's from the CEO of College Invest, and she just wants to tell you about hopefully you'll get inspired today.
Hi, I'm Angela Beyer, CEO of College Invest, and welcome to this episode of Inspiring Futures. Through Girl Scouts, you've learned that if you can dream it, you can do it. And here at College Invest, Colorado's education savings program, we help you get there. And you're never too young to begin to imagine your inspired future. So how will you impact this world? Will you run your own business, invent a new technology, or maybe even discover a life-saving cure? But wherever your inspiration takes you, a College Invest savings plan can help make your dreams a reality. Now, prepare to be inspired.
That is great to hear from her. And so a couple of housekeeping things. So we're recording this session, and we're going to post it up we have a YouTube channel, especially for these inspiring futures. So you can always go back and look at them or see ones that you might have missed. But in the recording, I'll make sure that I block out your faces so it won't be out there on YouTube for everybody to see. But we would love to see them now. And so you can keep your videos on. I can see some of your girls there. And you can unmute and chat with us, or type in the chat room, whichever makes you feel most comfortable. So, and before we start our session, we've always got to go through our promise and our law. If anybody wants to unmute themselves and join along with me, feel free. Are you ready? On my honor, I will try to serve God and my country, to help people at all times, and to live by the Girl Scout law. And the law, I will do my best to be honest and fair, friendly and helpful, considerate and caring, courageous and strong, and responsible for what I say and do, and to respect myself and others, respect authority, use resources wisely, make the world a better place, and be a sister to every Girl Scout. Thank you. That was awesome. It was nice to have people join in with me. So, and next up, so we've got two amazing women with us today from the autosports world. So they're going to talk about their careers, their passions, and everything. It's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to hand it over to them. And I hope you have an awesome time, girls.
Hi, everyone. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. And we're very excited to be presenting some information to you. So before we start off, to kind of introduce you to who we are and what team that we work for, we're going to show you a quick video.
Paretta, she has put her female forward team into the Indianapolis 500 for the very first time. Impressive watching these women going over the pit wall, and by all accounts, they're getting the job done. They are getting the job done. They're going early in the morning. They're going showing before they then go to their day jobs, because this is something that they're doing on the side right now. They're going in and learning that economy of motion, and that makes you smooth, and smooth makes you fast, just like a driver. Smooth is fast. The same things with a pit stop, and they've learned that. How did you get it done? I really faith in the team, and everyone worked so hard. We know Simone is one of the fan favorites. But what has the response been like in general to your team so far? It's been overwhelming. The notes that I get from fathers of daughters and people from all over the world asking for, hero cars. One of those touching things is some of our mechanics started wearing a side braid in their hair, and a woman tweeted to us because her daughter asked to have a side braid because she saw it in a lot of the pictures of our women on the team. And those are the subtle things that I was hoping we'd start to influence in time of how these kids see themselves. So to see it happening already is humbling, and probably proof of concept that this matters. Drop of the green flag. What will that moment mean to you? It's funny, I always say, and I've said this for the past 6 years, that my job ends when the green flag drops, because I'm the one that had to get all the pieces together. And so for that next 2 hours is kind of when I can relax, because there's nothing more I can do. But this is your baby. This is what you worked all these years for. The green flag is probably for me going to be more emotional than even a checkered flag, because hopefully it's the start of this team, this series for many years to come. We had the first female-owned and predominantly.
All right, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. So I'm Madison Conrad, and this is Lauren Sullivan, and we are from Paretta Autosport. So today we're going to be talking to you a little bit about what you guys saw in that video. So we work on race cars, both at Paretta Autosports and at our day jobs. And so we're going to kind of have some fun activities for you. I saw you guys had some questions about what color you guys would paint your race car. I saw some glittery pink, some red, purple, lots of purple. So that's super exciting. So we're going to share a presentation with you, and if you guys have any questions, put them in the chat, but we'll have a Q&A as well once we're done. So we're excited.
All right, so as Madison said, we are part of Paretta Autosport, and Paretta Autosport is part of what's a series called IndyCar. There's a bunch of different race car series out there, but IndyCar is what's called open wheel style racing. As you can see here, it's open wheel because the front wheels are not covered, neither are the back wheels really. The team that we were on is predominantly female, which with about 75% of the engineers, the mechanics, and everyone else involved was female. We did have male support, but it was predominantly female, and it was the first team to be predominantly female to compete in the Indy 500. The Indy 500 is the biggest race in IndyCar. It's bigger than winning the whole championship of the year as well. It's pretty much what the whole series focuses on, and that is the race we competed in last year. And if, like I said, it was historical being predominantly female. There's been female drivers before, there have been female owners, but it has yet to be female focused in this race. Madison?
All right, so a little bit more about what we did on Paretta Autosport. So I was a mechanic, which means I worked on the race car. So you can see me in that picture right there, actually starting the car. And I was also the inside rear tire changer. So I was actually changing the tires on pit road.
And my role with Paretta, I was on the engineering side. So while you'll see Madison in a lot of the shots and out working with the car, I was more behind the scenes looking at data, helped me process all of the information we were getting from the car every time it was on track, as well as helping with some team management stuff.
All right, so a little bit more about what I do. So I told you guys I was a mechanic on the car, so I was responsible for starting that car. Unlike your regular car that you guys drive in, this one doesn't have a key to start. So we actually have like a big motor that starts the car. So I was responsible for doing that. I was also, like I said, responsible for changing that tire in under 5 seconds. So we had to change that tire. You can see me in that picture right there holding that tire. Had to change that out and put a fresh one on in 5 seconds. And 5 seconds was kind of slow. And so another part was I was responsible for making sure that car was ready to hit the track. You know, making sure all of these bolts were tight, making sure that the driver was good inside that car, and making sure that nothing was going to fall off, that the car was safe. So that was my role with Paretta Autosport. But my day job is I work at Roush Yates Engines. So I know some of you guys don't probably know what that is, but we do all of the Ford engines for NASCAR. So you can see that bottom right picture, that is a picture of one of our engines that I get to work on. So I'm responsible for any issue that happens at the racetrack with that engine. So if something goes wrong, I have to be the one to basically report on it and decide, you know, if it's something that we need to fix, or one of our teams or one of our suppliers needs to fix. And kind of like what Lauren does, I also looked at some data to make sure that those engines are running powerful. We want to make sure they're powerful, but also reliable. So that's a little bit about what I do.
And for me, I've summarized what I did for Paretta. I did work with our engineering staff at helping them make decisions on what to change on the car to make it go faster. So we would get feedback from both the driver, from Simona herself, as well as all of our sensors that told us how the car was behaving, how fast it was going. And with that data, I was able to point out problems with data and whether or not we could trust it. And then the other engineers on my team were able to make decisions about how to make the car go faster. Now, my day job, or my normal job outside of Paretta, is I work for Team Penske, which is one of the elite motorsport teams in the country. They have an IndyCar team and a NASCAR team and a sports car team, which those are all probably words and series that are hard to wrap your head around, but it's all different race car series. So they do a lot in racing. And previously I was on the NASCAR side, where I did wind tunnel testing, which you can see in the bottom left corner here, where we would send a actual race car that goes on the track or a model, like a replica, either one, and we would test it to see what it would do on the racetrack. And that way we could go to the track and go to the race better prepared, because we simulated being in a race already. With Penske, I was doing a lot of the data analysis and data accuracy and finding issues in data. So that did translate well over to my Paretta role. And over the winter, over this last year, I've now transitioned fully to the IndyCar side. So now I'm in a different series where I'm helping with team management and logistics. So it's a little bit out of the engineering and technical field, and I'm more helping get people where they need to be. There's a lot of moving parts when it comes to racing. There's a lot of schedules. There's a lot of tiny little details that need to be kept track of. So I'm helping with that now.
All right, so we kind of told you a little about what we do. So feel free to unmute yourself during this, but we're going to talk about what makes a car go fast. So one thing we always think of when we think of race cars is who's driving it. You know, your driver has to be fast, right? We also think about the engine, like what I do. And then we also think about stuff like body shape. You know, how does that car look? You know, we're going to do an activity here in a minute to basically show you how different those cars are versus what you guys are normally seeing on the road versus what's at the racetrack.
Shall we go into that? All right, so this activity that we're going to do is kind of like those games that you've seen in coloring books and stuff, where it's spot the difference, where you have two pictures side by side and you have to identify the differences. And this one, we're going to ask you to identify both the differences and what makes them similar. They're going to look pretty different to begin with, but if you think about it, they're pretty similar as well. So we want you guys to go ahead and unmute yourself and shout out what you see. We'll start with what makes them different, because those are going to be the obvious ones. And let's see how many we can get going.
What's the
All right,
The shape.
the shape. Yeah.
The shape.
The
Yeah.
time?
What
The
about
nose. The tires and the shape. The
Yeah.
color of the car.
the
Green lines. Color. The
color?
Everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
What is the nose the same?
No. There's no. It's streamlined. And the wheels are
Streamlined.
different.
Very good.
The wheels are different.
The wheels are different. You notice that?
Wheels
on
are
the car?
different. The shape is different. It's got a spoiler. There's
That's
no
not-
door.
Whoa, big term.
It has a cross sign on it. There's
Yes,
no
the Chevy-
door.
the Chevy symbol.
Different wheels. The car is different. And the other one doesn't have a roof. There's no door.
That's true. There is no door.
out of it.
There is no door. You see
The
that
car
front
is
tires
different.
are smaller than the
The
rear tires?
engine is in the back.
Take it in.
I think the car brand of it is different.
They're both Chevy.
On the top right there. You see that, Sue?
The number.
What about headlights?
What is that?
Are there
The top
headlights?
car has headlights. Do you think race cars need headlights?
This is race
It
car.
doesn't have the same cover on it.
That is very true.
One has a number.
Yep,
There are
one has
different wheels.
It only
has one seat. One has some holes in it and the other doesn't. One doesn't have a thing where there is a that thing where it looks like a tail on the back.
Okay, yep, the rear wing.
The rear wing, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. These are
Tell
great.
me-
These are really good.
It has one seat and no doors.
Does it have different brakes? What?
How do you think the driver gets in there?
You guys know?
There-
Really? I don't know. The top?
How do you think the race car driver gets in?
Through the window.
Through the window?
No.
The top? Maybe?
The roof. The top is different. Through the top.
Yes.
Through the top?
Then-
You think the top is covered at all?
Yeah.
No.
It's almost like a convertible. Yeah. So it'd be like if you were getting in through your car through your roof.
Yep.
Oh.
You also see, can you count the bolts here for the wheel? How many?
There's
can you count?
five.
How many?
There's five, and this one is one.
One. Yep. That makes for fast pit stops.
Yeah, that 5 seconds doesn't
I was-
seem bad anymore when there's only one bolt to take off.
Yeah.
I was looking at the wheels that both of them look different. Like I didn't know what to say about them.
Yeah, they are different.
Like
Yep.
you said,
There's a
this
lot
is
of
like
meat
great.
on
You can ask them what that is.
tires. Wait, there's words on the tire, and there's none on that one.
That's true. That's true. There's also more tire. This one's thin. This one's thick.
Oh yeah.
So are those little things inside the tire wheel? Are those brakes or something? They're
Right here.
different? Yeah.
Yep. Those
Are
are
they-
the brake calipers, and
Okay.
the silver circle back here is called the rotor. So yeah, those are the brakes, and this car has very similar as well. They're just not pictured.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
The
Yeah.
tire, both of the tires, one of them is big and one of them is small. And
Smaller. Yes, it is.
yeah,
One
has
so different. They're so
Now, what about windshield wipers?
Oh, I got a really
Do
good
you think
one.
race cars have windshield wipers?
The wheels
no,
outside the car. One of them like under, and the other one.
You also see like
there's no window wipers because we know because on the red one we can see that there is, and on the bottom there isn't.
True.
Exactly.
And do you see here how the hood has a bump, and this is very straight. Someone had said streamlined earlier. That's correct. That's exactly what that is.
The cars low to the ground.
It
Yes.
is. If that's big,
Very low to the ground.
that makes it faster. That makes it a lot faster.
It's also got, it's hard to see in this image, but it's got little wings here too.
Here to talk to girls.
Your little wings right there. Point it out.
They're doing great. I'm impressed. Now, what about, do you guys have air conditioning and heat in your cars?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Race cars
Yes.
have that?
No.
No.
No,
Yes.
it's
Look
not.
at that stuff
Yes.
is heavy.
No.
What do you
There's a
think the
hole in
steering
one
wheel looks like?
and the other one doesn't.
What does the steering wheel look like?
I
It
don't.
looks the same as
It comes off.
Round and
It comes off.
it does come off. And the steering wheels are actually custom made for each driver. And they've got buttons and a screen and everything. It looks nothing like in your car.
That's illegal. That's illegal.
Well, I mean, most race cars aren't made legal, I don't think.
That's illegal. The bottom car is mostly white.
turn signals.
You're ready to meet
Do
you?
you guys expect to see your parents using turn signals, whether they're gonna say they're going right or left?
No.
Do you think they have to do that in race cars?
No.
No, why?
Because we're on a racetrack. Why would I need that?
Exactly.
Exactly. So what about, now that we've identified the differences, they're both still cars. What would you say is the same?
Wait.
They're both cars.
Wait, there's no cover over the wheels, but the ones that do. L.
They still have 4 wheels.
If you see that for
They both have motors.
Windshield.
They both have motors.
Yes.
And the
They
cool
both
thing
have
about this,
side view mirrors.
They
motors
both
are
need
actually
gas.
Both need gas.
They're still
It's
they're
just
both
copy.
very
And do
easy
you
to
see?
break.
They got the little, you gas it up here,
Another
you
one.
gas it up here.
They're both the same brand.
They
They
sure
are. They're both Chevy.
Nice.
What about this? Do you see this profile and this profile?
Oh yeah.
That similar?
Yeah, I can even see it. A
Okay.
little because
A little. It's not exactly the same.
You
they
think
both have side view
seatbelts?
mirrors.
They both have mirrors. Yes, they do.
Yep. What about seatbelts?
Oh.
Definitely.
Yes.
Do you think the seatbelts look the
Definitely
same?
have to have a seatbelt in a race car and in a passenger car too, like the one on top.
Yes. Wait, they have seatbelts?
No, they're harnesses.
Oh, yeah. They have what we call a 5-point harness. So instead of just your regular lap belt that goes over across your body, this one actually goes over both your shoulders and it hooks like right in the middle. So it keeps you nice and snug in there.
Kind of like a car seat.
Exactly.
That's not my car seat.
Michelle, do you have a question?
Does the race car have a roll cage?
Yes,
Yeah,
it
great
does.
question.
Very good question. So all through here and under here and all of this is called the chassis, which is the roll cage or the roll hoops. And it's all very structural components that protect the driver. So even though this is an open cockpit is what it's called, the driver's head sits right below this line. And if the car were to roll, all of the metal tubing up here will protect them.
They both have windshields.
They do, sure do. What do you think the windshield on the Indy car is glass?
No.
Not
Is that plastic? It will shatter.
It is plastic, yeah. 'Cause if our driver were to get in a wreck, we want to make sure that she's safe. So we want to make sure that that glass doesn't come flying back at her. And
Do
lots of
they
safety
both-
stuff is similar on these too.
Do they both have paint covers? Spray paint for the cars?
They use it's like a spray paint for the cars on the top car, but on the bottom it's actually a one big sticker.
Sticker. You put stickers in the car.
You see like all that stuff on it. So we have Money Lion, we have Rocket. You can see. So those are what we call sponsors. So those are the people like what Katie was talking about first. You know, someone that supports our race team. So we want to make sure that their logo is on the race car. So it's one big sticker. Think of it.
One big sticker on NASCAR.
Yep. Also, back here, what do you think this works as? Is this similar to a bumper? So if they get hit in a wreck?
No, it isn't similar to a bumper because a bumper car is different. They're actually
Not
very.
a bumper car, but the bumpers on a real car can take a hit and they'll collapse. And so will this back here. It's the same thing, it's just a different shape.
Does it have speed limits?
Race car? That's a great question. What do you guys think?
Yes, yes, yes,
Is it
because
for race cars?
yes, because you want to, because if you're in a race car, you want to know how fast you're going, and if you're in a regular car, you want to know how fast you're going so you don't go past the speed limit.
Yes, there are speedometers in both cars. Yes.
I would say the speed limit is what physics dictates.
I will. Their pit road though does have speed limits.
Yeah, so like when I was changing tires on the car, whenever our driver came into the pits to get her tires changed, she actually did have to obey by a speed limit. Now, it's not like on the street, like if you're breaking the law and you were speeding, the cop's not going to pull you over, but they do have penalties. But out on the racetrack, there is no speed limit. You go as fast as you can.
Physically can. Sometimes cars get a little squirrely on you, so you are limited by physics, honestly.
So do you guys think that there's mechanics that work both on these cars?
Always going to be. Yes.
Yeah. What about engineers? You think engineers are used on street cars too, like the one up top?
Yes.
Yes.
That's a sweet car.
It is a street car. Do you guys know what it is?
A
The name of it is?
Is it a
No.
Lamborghini?
Let's see.
Looks so much better than a Lamborghini.
It's a Corvette.
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 Yes, ma'am.
It's a Corvette. Well,
A Corvette.
we still have some time. So what about, now that we've identified some of the differences and similarities, what do you think is on the IndyCar at the bottom that makes it go faster than the Corvette on the top?
A Corvette is very fast.
Do you think the IndyCar is faster or the Corvette's faster?
The Corvette's faster.
IndyCar.
Corvette.
IndyCar is actually faster than a Corvette.
It's an IndyCar.
Yeah, it makes it faster, probably.
Do you think this body shape, the fact that it's straight here, helps it go faster versus up here where it's
Yes.
bumped?
Yes. Yes.
Do you think how big this scoop is here versus how small this one is here helps it go faster?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
What about this thing back here?
Yes.
Do you think that
Yes.
helps?
Yeah.
What about how close it is to the ground?
Yeah, that makes it go super duper duper fast.
It does. It holds
But
it to the
doesn't
ground.
it has low? But sometimes doesn't it get scratched?
Oh yeah,
It has low drag.
it does have low drag. Love it. Very low drag. Yeah. What do you think produces drag? Do you think these mirrors on the side can produce drag?
Yes.
Explain what drag is.
Yes.
Sure. So
But they are different because they're different because that one is bigger and it has a lump, and that one's thinner and it's like a rectangle.
correct. And so it goes faster. So when we talk about drag, have you ever put your hand out the window when you're driving in a car?
No.
No, you haven't put your hand out the window? Felt the wind go over your hand?
If I did that, I would be screaming.
And why is that? Because the wind is so fast?
No, because if I pulled up the window and my hand was still there.
Well, not if you rolled your hand in the window, but when you put your hand out the window, that force you feel that's pushing your hand back, that's drag.
How can a wind push your hand back if it's not that powerful?
It's a lot of wind all at once.
So you can almost think of it like a big wave. So if you're like in a pool or the ocean and like a big wave comes at you, it's gonna kind of knock you back. But if it's smooth water, you can swim with no problem. But if there's waves going, think of that comes like air, and that's coming at you, and that's gonna hold you back from swimming as fast. So that's kind of what we do with these race cars, is try to make them go smoother through the air. So that way it's more like a smooth, flat pool instead of real wavy like an ocean would be.
So people don't get
The smaller you get and the more smooth you get, the easier it is.
But how do you clean the windows if the windows are made of plastic and it rains?
That's a good question.
That's a very good question.
You peel it away.
What are called tear-offs on that plastic windshield on the race car. And what those are is basically like a small sheet of plastic that goes over that windshield, and we tear it off at every pit stop. So it's basically like getting a fresh windshield every pit stop.
Kind of like when you get a new phone or tablet or computer and there's that screen film on top of it. It's just like that.
I have 2 iPads.
Yeah. Well, do you have a question?
You guys have any more questions?
Go on to the next slide. All right.
So here, I'll ask you guys this. What is this car doing right now? What do we call that? With those tires smoking?
Burn it.
Burnout. Burnout, exactly.
So I see some questions here about wanting to be an engineer and stuff like that. So Madison, why don't you explain the schooling and stuff that got you here?
Yeah. So when I was in high school, a little bit older than you guys, so I actually took what we call automotive classes in high school, and that was actually working on cars in school. And from there, I went to what we call a technical school, like a trade school, like what kind of Katie was talking about earlier. And I learned a skill working on these cars. You learn how to work on these cars, how they work, how to fix them. And now, currently, I am actually back in school, going to pursue an engineering degree. So there's lots of different kinds of engineering. We have electrical engineering, dealing with all the power, the wires, everything that's electrical. And we have what I'm doing is mechanical. And what that means is all these mechanical systems. So like your race car is a big mechanical system. And so that learning how those work and kind of everything behind it and what makes it work. And Lauren also went and got an engineering degree.
I did. So after high school, when I went to college, I majored in aerospace engineering, like Madison was touching on all the different engineering disciplines is what we call them, which aerospace is how air moves and why it's so forceful and stuff like that. And so that was my major. And after that, I worked for Boeing, which Boeing makes big commercial airplanes that you see in the sky or that you've probably flown on. So I worked for them for several years, and then I decided to go into racing. But for both airplanes and race cars, I was doing the same thing, where I was doing what I touched on earlier called wind tunnel testing. Now with Boeing, we didn't put like full scale or full size airplanes in wind tunnels. We built tiny ones and we tested them. Race cars are smaller than an airplane, so you can test the actual race cars in a wind tunnel. But yeah, that's the path I took to get to where I am today. And math can be hard and science can be hard, but I just always thought airplanes, race cars, all that was really, really cool, and I wanted to help out in some way. And that was one way I ended up helping out. There's so many more positions and jobs that are around racing, from marketing and public relations to media stuff. There's honestly a job for any kind of interest. A race team needs it. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. You might see about the driver, maybe 10 people that are supporting the car, but there's really like 50 to 100 behind each car.
I see Grace said she wants to be an aerospace engineer.
Woo-woo!
Very cool. Very cool. And what about anyone else? Anyone else interested in engineering? Doesn't have to necessarily be on race cars either. Like Lauren was saying, there's so many job opportunities for engineering. You get to work with cool science projects. I don't know, math doesn't sound very fun, but math can be really fun when it's something that you're interested in.
When it explains why the tires spin as fast as they do, it explains everything. Then you understand it. And I see Katie here's asking who the driver is. Are you asking that to us, Katie, or to the group? But we'll go ahead and answer. Her name's Simona Di Silvestro. She's from Sweden. Or Switzerland, not Sweden. Messed that up, sorry. She's from Switzerland. She's been in multiple different racing series, and she's raced in IndyCar before. And so she currently is in other racing series right now over in Europe.
And Simona was, when we were racing this, when she was racing this car, Simona was the only female in the race.
Yes.
Driving. So there's not a whole lot of female drivers. So if any of you are interested in being a female driver, we need plenty of them.
Eva actually has a really good question. So Madison and Lauren, a common thing that Girl Scouts do is the Pinewood Derby cars. So out of wood or other things, they try to make their cars race. She's asking if you have any tips.
Yeah, honestly, if you make it look like an IndyCar, that will make it go faster. You don't want that boxy front end. You want a very slender, narrow front end, and the bigger back end will help it. As well as giving it some mass. That'll, with Pinewood Derby in particular, it needs what's called inertia to go down and get speed. So if it's too light, it won't get the speed that it needs to. You got some tips, Madison?
Man, if you could put a motor on it, that'd be great.
That would
But I know that's probably not an option. But like Lauren said, making it nice and sleek, making sure that everything moves really freely. So making sure that those tires don't have a whole lot of resistance, making sure that those move really freely. That'll definitely help. And like Lauren said, make sure it's kind of heavy. You know, if it's real light, it's not going to go anywhere. But yeah, making it a little bit heavier will definitely help.
Which that's just applicable to Pinewood Derby. And in race car track racing, you want to be as light as possible. But in Pinewood Derby, you can be too light. There is that limit. But smooth edges. Like if I remember correctly, you get just these little blocks of wood. It's just like a rectangle. These sharp 90-degree corners, smooth all of that down as much as you can.
Yeah. Lauren actually used to be a Girl Scout.
I did. I actually was in Girl Scouts for many years. I went all the way up to getting my silver award. Those are some really good times in life. That's where I wrote I did one of my patches. I did a report on space because I was so interested in it. This was well before I knew what I wanted to do in my life. And then looking back, I can see like, oh, I like that and I like that. It all lines up because of Girl Scouts.
Sydney, I see you have a question.
Show me your block.
Oh, that's awesome.
She's also in Cub Scout. She wants to show you her block. She hasn't cut it yet, but she's got a wedge shape.
Ooh, wedge. Yeah.
That's so exciting.
That'll be fun. I can't wait to see it race.
And her last one she made was glittery pink.
Oh, there you go. The glitter helps. Love it.
Yes.
It makes it sparkly.
What's this block? I have a Barbie bike.
Okay, I like it.
It needs to be fixed.
It needs to be fixed. Can you fix it?
Yes. First I need to find the other piece.
Well, yeah.
Fix the handle. It's broken.
Yep. IndyCars have to. How often do you think IndyCars have to be fixed?
I have none.
Do you think they're good race to race, or do you think there's stuff that has to be done in between races?
Well, race cars are actually pretty fast and they give off a lot of smoke. And they also are fast because their wheels and they're lower than the ground. Other cars are not pretty fast. They go up to a very high speed if you're on a highway. So that's why you can go a little bit slower on the highway, but with race cars get to go faster.
Sure do.
Yep, and we have to work on the race car between every single race. Lots of things need to be changed. In fact, it is not the same setup. When I say setup, it means there's different components on the car. If we're racing like a road course where there's a lot of turns, or a speedway where it's just one big circle going around, the cars are actually different between those two tracks. There's a lot that goes into it. It's not just what you see. Like whenever you see racing on TV from here on out, whether it's IndyCar, NASCAR, any sort of car that's racing, now you can kind of think of all the stuff that goes into it behind the scenes. For what you see on track, there's somebody managing tires. There's someone worried about the aerodynamics. There's somebody worried about how the car is driving. There's somebody worried about every aspect of it. And that could be you handling it in the future. Yes, Olivia.
I also attended a Pinewood Derby, and for my car, well, I beat the track record 5 times.
Oh, wow.
And I ran the front of my car.
That is perfect.
Do you see how it's similar to the IndyCar?
Yeah.
It's the wedge. Cool. Yep. Congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you.
We got another question. How do you drive the car? So this is a little bit different than what we see like on the street, but it's kind of the same process. So you still have a gas pedal, you still have a brake pedal, and the steering wheel. So the techniques are a little bit different. You know, we take corners at really high speeds, and we're going super fast down what we call the straightaways, so going in a straight line. So a little bit different than what we do in the race car versus a regular car. And also there's no stoplights in a race car, so that's a little bit different. But driving the car, it takes definitely a lot of practice. You know, these drivers like Simona, she's been racing since she was younger than you guys. So definitely takes a lot of practice. Practice makes perfect when it comes to driving race cars.
It's true. It's also a lot of physical force. You'll feel it on your body. And when we were talking about the seatbelts earlier, the seatbelts and the seat they're in is very tight to their body. They can't turn their heads really. They can't move at all. So unlike when you're in a normal car where you can turn and look over your shoulder and you can kind of move about, they are planted and can't move. And so we also have a position on teams called a spotter, because the driver can't see behind them very much. They have the mirrors, but it doesn't show too much. They can't turn their head and look. So a spotter is someone who is at the racetrack, but is way high up above all of the stands, all of the seats, and they're on a radio to the driver, and they will talk to the driver and let them know where other cars are on the track, if there's a wreck somewhere, stuff like that. Do you think the spotter is the only person that talks to the driver when they're in the car? So there's actually a lot of people, well, there's not a lot of people, but several people can talk to the driver while they're in the car. What's called the strategist or the team manager can also talk to the driver as well, because they need to let the driver know when it's time to come into pit and stuff like that. So everyone's on a radio, everyone's talking with everybody. So you don't see them talking face to face, but everyone's chatting, making plans, talking about when they're going to come down the pit road, what changes they're going to make. The driver is talking to everybody on the team, telling them what the car's doing, what it feels like, and the spotter's talking to the driver, telling them everything that's going on. So it's actually pretty noisy being in the headset because there's a lot of chatter going on.
So Lauren mentioned a lot of people on these teams that come together to make this race car go around. Lauren, how many women do you work with at Penske during your day job?
During my day job, there's about 2 or 3 other women that I work with. It is still a male dominant industry, but since I've hired in at Penske, we've hired a lot more females, which is wonderful. And even in the paddock, which is the garage or the pits in IndyCar, we're starting to see more and more females as well. So you do have less women in the industry than you do in other industries, but it's definitely growing, and we need more. We need more and more and more.
That's why we were so excited to come talk to you. So I work with one other woman at my shop that I work at during the day. So that's why we were so excited to come talk to you ladies, because we're really excited. We want to see more women come into this sport, because you women are very successful in this sport and in engineering and in mechanics. So we were really excited to share this with you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm going to turn on my
I have
video.
a question.
Oh, do you have a question? Okay, go ahead.
How fast does a race car go?
Good
It
question.
goes up to 200 miles an hour.
Actually goes faster
Whoa.
than that.
It can go faster than that.
We've seen up to 220.
So now, to give you some reference, on the highway, you're maybe going max 65 miles an hour. So over double what you do in a regular passenger car, over triple. So yeah, it goes very, very fast. It's hard to grasp it until you go to a race and watch it. Like, phew.
I have another question.
Yes.
My mom goes 100.
That's crazy. I'm sure your mom's gonna yell if you're ratting her out.
Hopefully you guys are wearing your seatbelts.
Yes. Well, thank you again, ladies. We really appreciate you guys. Had great questions. Thank you guys for participating in our activity. So great answers, great questions, and we hope you all enjoyed it.
Yeah. Next time you're sitting in traffic with your parents, feel free to look at the cars around you and figure out which one will go faster.
And Girl Scouts, I have a couple things before we finish to let you know about. So at Girl Scouts of Colorado, we have a contest going on right now. It started on Valentine's Day, actually. And so you can either submit a video or you can write an essay about your future self and how you see your future self. And we're going to pick 2 random winners, one from older Girl Scouts, so 6th grade and above, and one for the younger Girl Scouts, which is one of you, from all the submissions that happened before the 28th. And they're going to get a $529 put into a college invest savings plan. So it's kind of like getting even a $529 scholarship towards your future that's even going to grow more money. So you'll find it in some social media and email communications that your caregiver's gotten. So you can look out for that and you can submit that and maybe you can be a winner. So that's pretty exciting. So just want to also tell you about the patch program. So you can get a patch. I'm going to send out an email where you can fill in a survey that just says, you know, what you learned, what you liked, things like that. And you'll put in your address and then I can mail to you that middle, the Inspiring Futures part. If you've already attended Inspiring Futures, then you can let me know in that survey. But see the little rockers they're called rockers, those ones that go around. I'll be mailing out the STEM ones for this one since you learned about auto mechanics and engineering. So we'll look out, have your mom and dad or your caregiver look out for that. So, and just wanted to thank Girl Scouts of Colorado and College Invest again for sponsoring this series. And we've got some more Inspiring Futures coming up. And so we might see you at another one. But thank you again so much, Madison and Lauren. It was absolutely awesome. Girl Scouts, you want to say goodbye?
Bye.
Please,
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. See you again.
Bye.
See you all later.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.